بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله وحده والصلاة والسلام على من لا نبي بعده. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to another episode of Ask Eman, broadcasted live from the London studio of Eman Channel on Sky 757. We're also streaming it live on our Facebook page as well as on our YouTube channel. So please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to all our channels, including Facebook page and of course our YouTube channel. We're also streaming it live on our website, Eman Channel TV. Since it's a live interactive Q&A program, humble reminder, 0203 515 And as you can see on the screen, all our social media platforms, our Facebook page, YouTube channel, Twitter handle are all displayed. So please, once again, do not forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. 07916841483, our WhatsApp number. Of course, international viewers can use the WhatsApp number to call in directly in the studio. I'm your host, Qamarul Islam. Joining us tonight, none other than Ustad Shaykh Abid Khan. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Thank you very much for joining with us and giving us your valuable time. I'd like to let's begin our discussion today. What I wanted to ask you is, we've seen last week, or in fact in the weekend, Friday, Saturday, the storms, and of course most of the places had red warning, etc. Now, as Muslim, does it serve us as a reminder? And we always focus on relying on asbab. But what about the tawakkul in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? If you can kindly share your thoughts.
الحمد لله رب العالمين وأصلي وأسلم على من بعث رحمة للعالمين نبينا وحبيبنا وقدوتنا محمد الأمين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. After praising Allah, God Almighty, and asking Him to send His peace and blessings, benedictions upon His prophets, Noah, Abraham, Moses, Jesus, and Muhammad, peace be upon them all, and upon his family and companions and followers until the last day. The believer is one who seeks to cultivate and nurture their higher consciousness. That means through being connected with God, the remembrance of God, the remembrance of Allah, and looking and considering the signs around them in the creation. And the ayat, the signs and verses revealed in the book, both of those signs and verses, their consciousness is actually elevated to a higher level altogether. And so as a result of that, they are kind of a lot more considered, conscious of their duty to Him and to His creation. And basically we end up being on a virtuous cycle, a cycle that improves ourselves day in, day out, and our service to others. Now, Allah says in the Quran, سنريهم آياتنا في الآفاق وفي أنفسهم حتى يتبين لهم أنه الحق. We shall most certainly show them the signs for them to reflect upon, both in the horizons, the furthest ends of the horizons, and within their own selves, i.e. with their own biological makeup. When they consider any of these signs, until they recognize the reality, the truth, the incontrovertible truth of the oneness of there being a creator, of the creator being the one and only one worthy of all worship, and absolute love and absolute hope and absolute emotional dependency is being laid before His door, and that there's an afterlife. All this become evident through consideration of these signs. One of our challenges that we need to consider nowadays is how oblivious we've become of the signs of the Almighty in creation. And of course, in Revelation as well. These ayat kawniyah, these signs within the creation, we've become oblivious to it due to a variety of factors. One is just the fact that we're so engrossed in our phones, in our smart devices and the like, that we kind of live a virtual life more than we live the actual real life. But also, the fact is that through our discourse being so kind of grounded in us understanding the causality and the mechanisms of how storms are produced, how eclipses happen, because we understand the technicalities, so to speak, of how things happen, we ignore the one who causes it to happen by His command, which no kind of scientific argument or explanation actually does away with per se. It actually only is there to explain the mechanisms of it, the modality, not actually the true causality, which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, His command. And the last point I'd say in this respect is there's a famous Western thinker of the last century, who's Max Vapor, and Vapor made the point that actually one of the problems or the challenges of the modern era, and which characterizes the modern era, is one of disenchantment. We no longer walk through life in a state of wonder and amazement, that not the intellectual wonder alone, but the emotional state of being, in a state of wonder. That's a very specific experience where you recognize, oh wow, how amazing this is, how amazing that is, how magnificent is this, how awesome in the old true sense of the word, full of awe, this such occurrences and that occurrence. And because we no longer are prompted to recognize the glorious grand nature of these things, we no longer think about it in any real way, let alone recognize it's from Allah. If we recognize that, then we should have this sense of thinking, you know what, this could happen to me, this could happen to us. Let me prepare myself emotionally, spiritually, to be a better person before I lose the opportunity to do so. And speaking to your question specifically, Brother Qamarul, where you said about tawakkul, Allah says in the Quran, وَعَلَى اللَّهِ فَتَوَكَّلُوا إِن كُنتُم مُؤْمِنِينَ, and rely upon Allah, truly rely upon Him, if indeed you are true believers. In kuntum mu'minin. So He placed the reality of faith as being contingent on there being tawakkul. And tawakkul, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, is primarily amalun qalbi. It's an action of the heart. It means of one's consciousness, of one's mindset, that one recognizes that Allah is Rabb, He's the one in control of all affairs, and that He has things ultimately within a plan and within taking care of it. However, that having been said, the bottom line is that having been said, that a person should also be aware it should take the normal asbab or means, and one does not preclude the other, but the core of tawakkul is one's heart being attached to Allah and relying upon Him above all other things, and Allah is best.
Jazakallah khair for that. Now let's move on, and we'll be taking a first question from WhatsApp, and that is connecting to our discussion that we just had. Assalamu alaikum. Is it permissible to miss Jum'ah Salah and stay home during the storm? I would extend it further. What about 5 daily prayers?
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Yes, the answer to this is that the fuqaha of the four schools and beyond have elucidated and explained the circumstances under which one is, if you like, overlooked, or kind of that latitude is shown, and actually the obligation to attend Jum'ah ceases to exist. That is to say, it's no longer obligatory upon the people. That requirement is not there to attend. And from those circumstances is when there is a tangible, realistic concern or fear for one's life or one's limbs or one's wealth, or things of that order. So actually, if there's going to be a risk to any of those things, there's posed to any of those things, then one would not be attending Jumu'ah, and yes, all the more so Salat al-Jama'ah for the 5 daily prayers. This is something that the four schools are on, in general, they are unanimous on. So that's to say that there would be no sin. And if one was to be certain that actually one would actually be lose one's life in the process, or things of that order, then actually one should not be attending. Right, one would not attend the Jumu'ah or the Jama'ah. Right, if that's going to happen to them or cause it to others, etc., in a contingent fashion, then one would not be doing so. As for if there's kind of a realistic chance that even then the obligation is lifted and a person would not be attending thereby, or is not required to. So the answer is, and Allah says in the Quran, وَلَا تُلْقُوا بِأَيْدِيكُمْ إِلَى التَّهْلُكَةِ, do not throw yourselves with your own hands to your own destruction. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَلَا تَقْتُلُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ إِنَّ اللَّهَ كَانَ بِكُمْ رَحِيمًا, and do not kill yourselves. Indeed, your Lord Allah is the most merciful one. He doesn't require that. He doesn't seek that. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, ما يفعل الله بعذابكم إن شكرتم وآمنتم. Allah has no need or no interest, no desire to punish you. This in the hereafter we're talking about either. In shakartum, if you show shukr to Allah, gratitude to Him in the holistic sense of the word, using your ni'am, your blessings in the right way, and you have iman in Him. So one would not do so. And the maxim in Islam is la darara wa la dirar, that there's no harm or reciprocating of harm. And Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah ta'ala, he kind of coined this expression, which is overall agreed upon by all the schools of thought, which says, إذا ضاق الأمر اتسع وإذا اتسع الأمر ضاق. That if the matter becomes constricted, then actually latitude is shown by the Sharia. And if people are getting lax, then there's a sense of, if you like, reintroducing some of the formality that should have existed in the first place. And Allah knows best.
Jazakallah khair for that. And of course, I'd like to add, we have to make sure that we follow the government's guidance. And of course, we also follow the instruction from our local mosque. And also a common sense perspective, if we go to shopping markets, supermarkets, etc. Obviously, given that the weather condition is normal, then let us use our common sense whether we can go to salah or not in the masjid. Moving on swiftly to our next question. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Our sister is asking a question. Can a woman go to a maqbara, graveyard, to make dua for a relative if she is in her monthly cycle? Briefly, Sheikh, we've got literally 2 minutes.
But in terms of this, was a comment made by some people regarding going to, if they're going. The point is, because the fuqaha have a maxim which says al-hukmu ala shay'i far'un an tasawwurihi. That's to say, the ruling is going to be based on how you conceive the issue. Now, just taking the most recent storm last Friday, for example, as an example, one could look out the window and see, you know what, it looked bad-ish in a particular locality, let's say the one I was in, but maybe not that imminently kind of threatening. The problem is, however, 2 points. Point number one is you've got a government-issued warning in a society where education matters, where kind of work kind of matters as well, of course, and where schools are closed and workplaces are being told, everyone work from home as well, and basically stay at home, then that means there's a realistic evidence-based expectation and anticipation that this is going to be dangerous. Now, one could say once in this kind of standoff between, does one rely on this or rely on what they can see outside? Now, in reality, we have an Islamic principle of kind of accepting, recognizing, and in a way deferring to expert advice, point one, and one would therefore not be responsible thereafter. But point two is, even just very pragmatically and practically speaking, when one looks out the window, it doesn't look that dangerous. Of course, we know later on we saw many trees, at least in my locality, where they fell down. There was a gardener who kind of lost both his legs, or they both broke because it fell on him. But that's not the point. The point is, right now, I look out the window and it looks like 30 miles per hour, which may be, or 25 miles per hour. It's perhaps safe. But the problem is, if the wind is coming from further out, is traveling at 100 miles per hour, within 5 minutes of me being outside the house, before I even get to the masjid, the whole situation has changed. And so because there's a realistic concern of that, that's why that ruling is given by the scholars who give it, and Allah knows best.
Jazakallah khair for that. Inshallah, Sheikh will return back after a short break. My dear viewers, if you have just tuned in, you're watching Ask Eman live on Eman Channel on Sky 757. We're also streaming it live on our Facebook page as well as on our YouTube channel. You can call in, send us WhatsApp text message, and as you can see on the screen, our YouTube channel, Facebook page, Twitter handle are all displayed. So please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to all our channels, including Facebook page and our YouTube channel, and of course hashtag Ask Eman. For more details about any program, especially about Ask Eman or any program in general, of course, you can visit our website, emanchannel.tv, and also this program is streaming it live through our website. Inshallah, we'll be right back in a few moments. You're watching Ask Eman live on Eman Channel on Sky 757. Thank you very much. Welcome back. You're watching Ask Iman live on Eman Channel Sky 757 in conversation with Shaykh Abid Khan. 0203 515 0757, our studio number. So please don't hesitate to call in. And of course, our WhatsApp number 07916841 our WhatsApp number. And of course, our international viewers can use the WhatsApp number to call in directly into the studio. We had our viewer, our caller, Brother Muhammad, who was asking a question about zakah. Please kindly give us a call back, and inshallah, we'll take your question live on air on Eman Channel on Sky 757. Apology for missing your call. It's just a humble reminder. 0203 515 0757, our studio number. And of course, the contact details, so all the necessary contact details are displayed at the bottom of your screen. Now, inshallah, let's start with a question from YouTube channel. And sister is asking a question. Assalamu alaikum. Are there any du'as to say to help with labor pains and contractions? Marwa sister is asking a question on YouTube.
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. In terms of um, such issues such as this, obviously, as a proviso, and I'm sure you're aware of this, sister, that there's a requirement for us to be clear that, of course, you should first and foremost, from a practical angle, be seeking one's own, medical health professionals' advice. And that's kind of what one would be doing from a kind of more mental, spiritual, psychological perspective. Then it's very, very important, obviously, to always, from a Muslim's perspective, for one to be turning to Allah for seeking His help. Indeed, we always narrate we say in every prayer, "Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in." From you we seek alone, we seek help. Allah is the first and the primary source of all our turning, emotionally speaking, for our emotional dependencies. So the du'as which exist are generic ones, first and foremost, such as Allahumma la sahla illa ma ja'altahu sahla. وأنت تجعل الحزن إذا شئت سهلا. Oh Allah, there's nothing easy except for that which you make easy, and you can make the difficult easy. You have the statement La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. There's no movement or power except with Allah, with His permission. You have the general saying of Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. And there are people who have claimed, there's no specific hadith or evidence for this, but there have been people who used to claim amongst some of the scholars that reciting of Surah Zelzala on water and kind of just applying it over, that area is something which some of them found, some of the female scholars or the family members had found to be beneficial, etc. But this is something which some of our teachers had mentioned, but Allah knows best about that. So generally, it's just dua to Allah, and of course, if one wants to recite the Quran as well, then that is something which is always blessed, inshallah, and Allah knows best.
Jazakallah khair for that answer. Moving on swiftly to our next question, and we'll be taking it from WhatsApp. Assalamu alaikum. Is it permissible or not to take company benefit in the form of private medical insurance?
So the question is one allowed to take out private medical insurance?
Yeah, if it's part of the contract or the benefit that a company provides, and part of it is you can take benefit in terms of medical insurance.
Yeah, so the scenario is this. That first and foremost, there's discussion amongst the scholars, contemporary speaking, of course, regarding what the ruling is on taking out insurance policies where one does not legally have to do so. And obviously, where one has to do so, then one has to do so. But where one is at liberty to kind of choose what's the ruling on that. And some scholars said it was fine. People like, Professor Mustafa Zarqa and other scholars such as that. Generally speaking, the majority of the view that it's something which was Islamically frowned upon and has a ruling based on the fact that they see it as being attached to riba, to it being a type of gambling, a type of extra money for more money, various problems that they list, which I can answer if we have time for, maybe Brother Qamarul can come back to that in a moment. So the point is, there's that kind of dichotomy in terms of the scholarly positions. Now, where you are in a situation where you're working for the company and this is an intrinsic part of the contract that is just there anyway, we're going to be taking out that policy irrespective. And now you have that policy, then yes, of course, you'd be allowed to take benefit of that policy that exists in your name anyway, and Allah knows best.
Thank you very much for that. Now let's move on swiftly to our callers. Let's see who's on the line. Assalamu alaikum. Sister Nadia, assalamu alaikum. You're live on Eman Channel.
Oh, walaikum salam. So I asked this question, I think, last week, but I think I wasn't very clear. So the question is, should a person make up fasts that they missed in the days when they did not know that it is compulsory for them to do so? So, for example, maybe they were aged like 13 or 14, and no one told them that they're supposed to fast. So what would that person do maybe a few years after knowing that they should have done so?
Okay, let me understand the
I hope that
question.
makes sense.
So basically what you're trying to say is once the fasting has become obligatory, no one at a younger age has mentioned that now it's obligatory and you have to keep fasting until later in the years, down the years, you found out that it was fard upon you to fast, but you missed it. Now what should you do?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, my dear sister. Question is clear. Just hold on, my dear sister. Sheikh, do you have any supplementary question?
Yes, I was just going to inquire regarding Sister Nadia's question. In this sort of hypothetical situation we're speaking about, what sort of number of years are we talking about? 2 years, 1 year?
Sister, did you hear the question?
Yes. Let's say maybe around 10 years later.
10 years later. Okay. Khalas.
No. The question is, how many years were missed?
Oh, I'm not sure.
Roughly, if you had to, whatever you can think from top of your head now, what would you say?
It's okay. I can manage.
I think after a few years, so maybe when they were around 15 years old, then they probably, were practicing and knew that, that it's compulsory for them, and they started,
I understood.
fasting in the month of Ramadan.
At the age of 15, you realized that it is now compulsory.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
around 14, 15.
Okay, around 14, 15. Okay, it's clear. It's just a rough estimate, so Sheikh can tailor his answer accordingly. Sheikh, over to you.
Yeah. Thank you for the question. Yes, by the way, this is something which happens not that infrequently. People sometimes do come off with the understanding that actually from such and such age, that's actually when, I'm actually mature for 15 or this, that, the other. So it does happen. The position of the overwhelming majority of the scholars, i.e. the 4 schools and beyond, is that basically if there's something which is due of someone, which actually you now have come to understand it was due of you, you were kind of mature and in that sense baligh, an adult, then in a way we describe it as something that's owed back to Allah, i.e. it's something that's still outstanding, if you like a debt of sorts. So it then is repaid, and it doesn't need to be done like immediately. You do it in your own time. So for example, if we're in winter months right now, one could very easily try, and I suggest it might be very very acceptably, I should say, it'd be very acceptable just to choose the winter months over a number of years and stagger it and say, you know what, I will do, I don't know, X number of fasts each winter, as a type of, with the intention of it being in lieu of those 2 years. So if or more, so if one realized at the age of 15 and actually we're talking about, let's say they reached the age of physical maturity around 10, I don't know, then yes, those would be 4 Ramadans or so that they would have had to then make up, and they'd stagger that over a number of years, and they shouldn't feel any like emotional, psychological pressure in doing so. They just try and take it in their stride, and that's of course that's something which they could health-wise manage, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair for that. Next, we'll move on to our generated question, which will be displayed on the screen. Literally, Sheikh, we've got 2 minutes. What books can you recommend for teaching kids, i.e. Islamic books?
So there's a nice set of books that are available. They don't come to my mind. Unfortunately, I don't speak from personal experience of parenting and the like. But regarding Quranic rules of tajweed, of learning tajweed, there's some wonderful books out there about the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ, learning about his life. there's some nice adapted books for du'as that you can learn. So if they can get in the habit of doing that from a young age, that would be excellent. And so if they have those du'as, they have the life of the Prophet ﷺ, and they learn how to recite the Quran, and that you teach them directly from your own example about akhlaq and values and about Allah, then inshallah, I think that's a brilliant start, and Allah knows best. And of course, stories. Wherever you get the chance to tell a good story, stories of the Sahaba, of the prophets of Allah, of course, from the Quran, then there's nothing better than that, and Allah knows best.
In 20-second, importance of looking up the writer before we give any book to our kids.
Yeah, obviously, it's eminently sensible to try and vet the content of the book itself to make sure everything is suitable, sensible, and accurate, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair for that. It's another break, and inshallah we'll be right back in a few moments. And if you've just tuned in, you're watching Ask Iman live on Eman Channel on Sky 757. Inshallah, we'll be right back in a few moments. 0203 5150757. Also, we are streaming it live on our Facebook page, on our YouTube channel, and of course on our website, as you can see displayed on the screen. Once again, please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to all our platforms, including Facebook page, Instagram page, YouTube channel, and of course follow our Twitter handle, #AskIman. We'll be right back in a few moments. You're watching Ask Iman live on Eman Channel Sky 757. Thank you very much. Welcome back. You're watching Ask Iman live on Eman Channel in conversation with Shaykh Abid Khan. We're also streaming it live on our Facebook page as well as on our YouTube channel. So please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to all our platforms. As you can see, it's displayed on your screen, our YouTube channel, our Facebook page. And of course, you can also watch this program via our website, emanchannel.tv, 0203 515 0757. Our studio number, 07916841483, our WhatsApp number. And of course, our international viewers can use the WhatsApp number. Let's move on to our next generated question. And it's a very good question. And I would like to thank our viewers for asking such good questions. Can we admire the determination of non-Muslims even if they're in a field that is haram, i.e. music or movies, or even in fact sports personalities? Sheikh, over to you.
There's a principle which is al-hikmatu dalatul mu'min, that wisdom is the lost property of every believer. Wherever she or he finds it, they're most entitled to try and follow it. And so where you see a good example, then you follow that goodness wherever it may be. Even if it be the fact that the work ethic alone, not the actual activity itself, is commendable for some reason or the other, or you may not agree with it for a reason of your own. But the ethic is something which is admirable, because the ethic is something which requires a person to overcome their kind of laziness, their own human, if you like, things that hold them back. And that's something which you or I could end up sharing with them, i.e. the similar challenges, similar circumstances, but with a different enterprise, a different activity. So absolutely yes is the answer to that. And in fact, you see many examples where many of the righteous and the scholars of the past and the present have done so similarly. And it's something that for us to consider, that how people have striven for what they value. And then we should take inspiration saying, but we have all the more reason, according to ourselves, we have all the more reason to strive hard, because the ramifications of it are with eternal consequences, not just benefiting the dunya, but benefiting other people's dunya and our akhirah as well, inshallah. Allah knows best.
Thank you very much for that. In short, we can take lessons from it, but of course, we can avoid getting into any haram activities. Moving on swiftly to our next question, and that is from our YouTube channel. Sister Marwa is asking a question. What are the benefits of black seed oil?
So the scholars discuss the black seed oil, and it occurs actually in Sahih al-Bukhari. It says that al-habatu sawda shifa min kulli da'in illa sam. That it's a cure for all things, from all diseases except for death itself, Assam. And then the scholars of Islam, they discuss the meaning of this and what the cause behind this would be overall. And there's discussion amongst them regarding the if you like the mahia, the essence of this discussion, or this prophetic statement. Some stated that this was basically from that it applies in every time, in every place, etc. And there have been other scholars who said that actually, when it came to medicinal advice, this was advice which was not specifically, if you like, an ordinary hadith. It was the Prophet ﷺ speaking of the medical, if you like, facilities that were at the disposal of the Arabic community that he was speaking to, saying, out of these things, this is the best. Out of these things, this is what we found to be most effective, etc. So it's something which one can do, most certainly, but one should be aware that one should kind of couple that with the normal, traditional, conventional, advice and consultation with their medical professions of today's day and age as well. Allah knows best.
Thank you very much. Next question we'll be taking from WhatsApp. Assalamu alaikum. Going to different masajid for the sole purpose of praying or ibadah, is this allowed?
So I didn't catch the question.
So going to different masajids, whether it's be in the UK or anywhere outside the UK, going to different masajids for the sole purpose of worship or praying salah, is this permissible?
Okay, I think the questioner is perhaps referring to a hadith saying لا تشد الرحال إلا إلى ثلاث مساجد. Don't kind of set out on a journey except to 3 mosques, and he mentions al-Masjid al-Haram, Masjid al-Nabawi, so the sacred mosque in Mecca, the Kaaba, that is, the prophetic mosque, and Masjid al-Aqsa. However, it's been widely accepted by the scholars en masse, Jamahir al-Ulama, that, for example, I'm a London-based individual, so I want to today go and pray in I don't know, Regent's Park Mosque, and then I want to go and visit such and such mosque, and then such and such mosque. All of that would be fine and permissible, whether it's because I want to attend some classes there, durus, or I feel more khashi', more kind of concentration, focus in such and such mosque, or I just want to kind of, especially in our day and age and our surroundings with the family, have a trip in that area and pray in that masjid. All of that is absolutely fine, inshallah ta'ala, and Allah knows best.
Thank you very much for that. Moving on swiftly to our next question, and that is Assalamu alaikum. Is placing a English translation Quran on the floor a sin?
I'm not sure why someone would want to do so, to be honest with you. It's not something that I feel comfortable with myself. The Quran itself says, وَمَن يُعَظِّمْ شَعَائِرَ اللَّهِ فَإِنَّهَا مِن تَقْوَى الْقُلُوبِ. Whoever tries to show extra veneration and respect to the sha'a'ir of Allah, that's the symbols of godliness, then that is from the signs of taqwa of the heart, i.e. consciousness of God. Yes, someone could argue or make the point that the translation of the Quran is but a translation of its meanings, and thus it's more akin to a book of tafsir, and that too in English. It's not the words of God. It's not the words of Allah, the Quran itself, which is the Mus'haf in Arabic. All of that's, it's in its place. But and they could argue also that, if it's just in the corner in a room, on by the floor because of someone, there are no bookshelves in that room, etc., is it truly disrespectful? We take all of that on board, but we still discourage people from doing so, most certainly, and Allah knows best.
Thank you very much. I think what the question is trying to allude to, sometimes when we have books, for example, translation of books or Quran, maybe attending lecture or dars, and the salah time comes in and they don't have any place to, anywhere to place the book, and it's their own book, perhaps then they place it on the floor and start praying. Is that possible?
Yeah, that's possible. Yeah, we've seen that. Even that, then personally, if I'm praying and I saw that next to me, I would be kind of disturbed in my focus and concentration. But I understand what the question is saying. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Now, literally, we've got 3 minutes, Sheikh. Next question. Assalamu alaikum. If I'm late for Fajr and don't wake up on time, do I have to read the Fajr Salah before Dhuhr, or any time after Dhuhr can also be prayed?
Yeah, so the madhahib discuss this, and as to whether when one wakes up, having made the best effort to wake up on time, is it something which is to be done yani fawran, with immediate effect, or is a slight kind of stagger delay acceptable? The Shafi'is allowed some slight delay. The other madhahib said it should be done, almost with immediate effect. This is all based around the hadith in Bukhari, where the Prophet ﷺ was with the Sahaba, and Bilal radiallahu anhu, Sayyidina Bilal, he'd kind of dozed off, and then they woke up as the sun was rising. They waited for the people to get ready, and they prayed. The fact that they waited is used as a point of inference to say maybe a slight delay is acceptable, but no doubt one should not wait until dhuhr, etc. Pray it as soon as you can. The hadith of the Prophet ﷺ is, "Man nama an salatin aw nasiha falyusalliha idha dhakaraha." Whoever sleeps through a prayer accidentally or forgot it and then remembers, then let him pray it. And that falyusalliha is indicative; it should happen, as soon as it is physically possible, and Allah knows best.
Thank you. And you said the word accidentally. Now, if someone has the tendency or habit of continuously, regularly missing the Fajr Salah,
One should be mindful of that, because the Quran says, فَوَيْلُ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ الَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنْ صَلَاتِهِمْ سَاهُونَ. Woe to those who pray and delay knowingly, etc. And the salah is our biggest gift, ladies and gentlemen, brothers. It's our connection with the master of the universe. I don't think there's anything more I can say than that.
thank you very much for that. And also another question. We know the importance of the Fajr Sunnah. So do they need to make up Fajr Sunnah and Fard, or only Fard?
Yeah, the Fajr Sunnah is something that one would pray as well. That's what happened in the Hadith of Bukhari as well. And the Prophet ﷺ says, "Raka'ata al-fajri khayrun min ad-dunya wa ma fiha." That with Allah, those 2 rak'ahs of Fajr, the Sunnah that is better than the dunya and all that it contains, in terms of his value and worth. And Allah knows best.
Thank you very much. If someone is really ill, can they shorten their Isha Salah, or how do they shorten their Isha Salah?
They would shorten it by praying, smaller surahs, maybe just a few ayat after Fatiha in the first 2 rak'ahs, and then make their ruku, just enough so that there's tranquility, and sujood similarly, and that should suffice, inshallah, and Allah knows best.
And also, the definition of illness is also another thing I have to touch. On one hand, we say we are ill, but then we can leave our house, we can do all the other things. But when it comes to salah, we ask such questions. I'm not saying in particular to this particular viewer asked that question, but in general, I'm sure as an imam, you observe that in the mosque as well. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, fortunately, the people who come to the mosque tend not to be the ones who are asking that sort of question, because they're the ones minded to make the extra efforts. But yes, no doubt, we place much more premium value on many other things, whereas the salah is of, high premium in our, ought to be of high premium in our lives, and Allah knows best.
Thank you very much. Our time is up, Sheikh. I would like to take your concluding remark based on the questions and the topics we've discussed today. In 30 seconds, your concluding remark for today.
The concluding remark would be for us to try and use all these questions to reprioritize ourselves and our lives in the run up to the month of Ramadan. We are but, I think, 40 days away from this holy month, this blessed month, the guest from Allah. So let us make the most of it, and let us turn to Allah, beseech Him that He grants us the opportunity to witness that blessed month and to avail ourselves of its opportunities, and to draw close to Him and be from those who are granted His grace and His forgiveness.
Jazakallah khair, my dear Sheikh. Thank you once again for giving us your valuable time and looking forward to seeing you again in our new episode. My dear viewers, our thanks to all the viewers who've asked questions either through WhatsApp, YouTube channel, and of course by calling us. Apology, we couldn't take all the necessary questions, but inshallah we're back again tomorrow, but it will be Ask Iman Urdu, same time. And we'll be back again on Friday and Saturday, Ask Iman. And the repeat of this program can also be watched on Sunday and Monday between 9 to 10 or 10 to 11 on Monday. Until next time, subhanakallah wa hamdik, nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.